Hi guys, it's Sherry. Today we are going to be working with a gemstone, and I got this beautiful gemstone a while back and I wasn't sure what I want to do with it, and I finally figured out today what I want to do. I took this piece here. This came from an old bracelet. I'll show you quick. So here's an old bracelet that I had that was worn out, and instead of restringing it, I decided that I was actually going to incorporate this into my piece. So what I am doing is I rolled out my scrap clay, made sure that it was nice and conditioned, and I rolled it out to my thickest setting on my pasta machine. So the very first thing I will do is lay my piece down on here, just kind of get a general idea of how exactly I want to lay this out, and then I will slice around. Now I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to play this out, but as I go, I will figure it all out. So now my question is, do I want to use one of these pieces as the part that I will hang this from, or will I just add another piece? So I'm going to kind of just put this on my tile and just lift it up and see if that will even be possible. And I think it will. I think that will actually work really good for my like part of my clasp. And I want to kind of, so I think we can work with that. All right. So the very first thing is, now I have my little pieces marked. I will get rid of a little bit of this clay here because I don't want it coming up over that particular piece. And then I'm going to start pulling this up. And don't worry if it's very thick initially, because we will thin all of it out if we need to. And then I'm thinking, I really like that placement right there. So I've never used one of these before, so this is kind of like a new little experiment for me. And I want to kind of get rid of some of this. It's just an awful lot of clay for that particular area. So I'm just going to keep playing around till I find the exact area. And that right there is kind of where I think that should go. But I definitely want to cover that area up there. So now I'm going to turn this over, and this is just a matter of kind of playing around with this right now. This will be the area where I put my jump ring to hang it. So I want to leave that area open. And I'm actually going to bring my clay over here and kind of embed it over there. And I think that would work fairly well. All right. So that's how I'm going to do that. And I like to kind of play around with it before I finish the piece off completely, just to give me an idea. So now I'm going to kind of reform that, make it a little bit smoother and nicer. And then I'm going to get my clay adhesive. Let me just spread that over this area. We definitely want to make sure that we have some kind of adhesive to hold on our piece. And then lay those back in place. Make sure it is exactly where you need it to be. And then once again, let's go over this. And don't worry about if it looks ugly initially, because we can clean it all up and make it look nicer. And here you can see right there, I have all that opening. So I need to put clay over that to make sure that it's going to be secure. So I'll just get some of my clay, and then I'm going to get one of my blending tools and just push that in there. Now remember, we still have that glue in there, that adhesive, so that's going to help it too. And while you're doing this, kind of hold your piece into place so it doesn't move all around. But you just want to blend those pieces together. I love taking old jewelry and kind of refurbishing it and making it into something new. And normally I don't focus on the back right away, but because of this particular piece, I feel like I need to focus on my back before I focus on the front. And that does not look too shabby, so I'm pretty happy with that look. I just want to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then lay that out. And now I will take my tool and I'm going to kind of just smooth out the top here. Make sure everything's still level, because you don't want this piece right here that you're going to hang your chain off of to be unleveled, because then it's going to hang funny. So you want to make sure that it's completely where you want it. And I think that looks pretty good. And all this will be done in silver. So hopefully you won't see too much of a difference between the two silvers. I have a little bit of the silver popping through. I want to make sure that's completely embedded. And now I'm just kind of cleaning up my areas here. All right. Now I am very pleased with that. Now it's time to clean this whole section up. Like, what do I want to do with it? So I'm actually just going to trim it up initially. Give it a smoother surface, make it look prettier. I want to keep everything as level as I can and as even as I can. And then, of course, I'm not going to use all this clay up here. So let's clean that up, because I like to have as much of my stone to show as possible. The whole point of working with stone is to show the beauty of it. Okay, now you'll see how I have like this little lip here because the clay is thick. So instead of pushing up, I'm actually just going to push in. So don't swipe it up, just push it straight in. And now I have this little opening right here, and that's going to look terrible. So I need to put something there to make it look nice. And I think I'm going to use a leaf because I think that will kind of make it look like it belongs there. So just clean up my edge nicely. I like to smooth everything out. Make sure it's nice and against my stone. Just going to kind of shave up a little bit if it's popped up a bit. Okay. And I love being able to use my scrap clay because it gets painted and then I get to just use up things that I have laying around. I don't have to open up a new pack of clay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my clay, make it into a nice ball, and then I will start pinching the edge and then flat. So pinch and flatten. Oops. So I'm going to make a leaf. And I'm going to make a couple little leaves here. Oops. Why do I keep dropping that? And I'm just going to lay it there, see how that works. I want that a little bit skinnier. So I'm going to take some of that off. That's probably half of it. And then I'm going to redo it again. So flat, pinch, flat, pinch. And just keep doing that till you get like a leaf size. So something like that. It does not have to be perfectly, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. I'm actually going to, because of the style of it, I'm going to make a couple, I'm going to make it kind of like more one of those leaves, like a skinnier one that has a point on the end to fit in there a little bit nicer. All right, so now let me get my scrap clay, stick it right on the top there because we need something to support it, and then push it in there. We want to make sure our clay gets in there. So get something that you could push that clay into those areas between your flower if you're using something very similar to what I have. Because you want something that's going to support your leaf and help it stay on there. I'm going to take my piece here. I'm going to get my knife. And now I'm going to start making my leaf impressions. Oops. Come on, stay down. Take a little bit of my adhesive. I will put it on my stone here. Don't worry, I will clean this all up, so it'll be messy right now, but it'll get cleaned up. And then lay my piece right where I want it. Put that into place. And I'm going to make another one, but a little bit smaller. I don't want it as long. And let me see. Yeah. So let me flatten that out a little bit more. I like to make them skinnier, like not so wide or not so thick. Oh my goodness. Let me stick it up here. It'll stay on there at least. Let me make my leaf marks. And once again, I'm going to take my adhesive, put that there. And then line it up. And then I'm going to clean up this adhesive on here. So that's what we have so far. All right, this time I want to actually do like a little rope style. And I'm going to do that right around my piece here. And I'm actually going to use my tool here. I already have clay in there, so I'm just going to use that. And like I said, this is all getting colored, so it doesn't matter what color clay you're using. And then I'm just going to do my little rope. And do the rope, you just take your 2 pieces of noodles here, and then you just twist. And I love doing this because you can make the rope tight, you can make it loose, you could do whatever you want to suit your style. So if you want it tighter, just keep turning it. And I am going to cut the edge off here, right on the slant. And then I'm going to line it up to the edge. Oops. Make sure it's on the clay. You need your clay to be touching the other clay for it to stay on properly. You can't put this right on the stone, because the stone is not going to hold your clay by itself. It needs something to grasp onto. And then I will take that and slice it on the corner, or on a slant as well. And then make sure you're pushing it down, but don't mush it. Just push it down to make sure that it's on there. And that's what we have again so far. All right, so we got noodles here now. I'm gonna make these a little thinner. And this is one thing that I love doing with my gemstone stuff, is it all is freestyle. There's nothing saying that you have to do it a particular way. So now I'm going to do all my little swirls and just kind of go with the flow and design it the way that it just kind of falls into place. So I will take, I always put a point, take my clay, and then just design it however it kind of falls. I never have like a true design when I'm doing these pieces. I do want that thinner. I just want to see how it falls into place, and if I like it, I keep it. So let's see here. Let's start there. Gonna get it to stay in place initially. I will just keep following it. And then cut it off right there. And if I like it, it stays, and I do like it. So that's exactly how my first piece is going to be. So now I like that. So then my next step is to try to do something very similar to the other side. And no, it does not have to be perfect. I will just kind of get an idea how that flows. And I'll look at it before I cut it. And it looks somewhat similar. Happy with that. Take my piece and cut. So that looks pretty good. And we have a little area here that I will just kind of follow suit. Since I like the way that it's flowing, I will just continue going with that. And then I will cut it off there. Make sure everything's on there. I like to press everything on, make sure my noodles will stay put. Get an idea. Similar. So there, that's what we got. And I think that came out pretty nice. I really like that so far. Now I'm going to do a couple little, what I call my little dots or circles. So I'm going to start putting some of those in there to fill up some of that little empty space in between. When you are creating with your stones, I want you to really just have fun with it. And I'm telling you, if you just go with the flow, let those noodles go where they fall, 99% of the time, it ends up being a beautiful piece. If you don't like it initially, pick it up, pick the noodle up, and then just redo it again, because they usually do just kind of fall naturally where they're going to look nice. And then I will just start laying my little circles wherever. And I'm not pushing them on yet. I want to see how they look on here before I push anything on and make it permanent. Let's just do one there, I think. And one up there. No, maybe I need a couple down there. And this one is a little big, so I'm going to put that one right in the middle. And whatever you do on one side, try to mimic the other side very close to it, because that's what makes everything flow nicely and look real good. Okay. So once I see that I like the placement of everything, then I can kind of start pushing everything into place. So I'm just going to make sure that everything is where I want it to be. I actually think I'm going to do a leaf right there on the bottom. All right. So now get something that you could kind of just push everything down, but don't mush them too much. Just press them into place so they stick onto your clay. I like to just flatten them just enough to make sure they're staying on my clay and that I am happy with the position that they're in. I like that. That's really nice. All right, so now I'm going to do one little leaf. Actually, you know what? How about I do a flower? I think a flower would look, a real tiny flower would look really pretty at the bottom. And I have a tiny little flower right here. I love these flower molds. They're so easy, and they really just make real pretty flowers. Oops. Let me get that off. Get off. And let me just, come on. All right, well, I messed that up. I didn't pick that up properly. All right, so very pretty flower. And I want to make sure it's in the right spot. There we go. And just lightly press it into place. And to finish it off and go with the beautiful stone up there, I'm going to put a stone right in the middle of that flower. There we go. Okay, so that's what we have. The back looks good. Front looks good. And now I'm going to use my mica powder on this. I was going to paint it, but I think the mica powder, the silver one that I have, is so beautiful that it will work real nice with this. So let me get my, I'm going to go right up into here first and make sure I get all those little areas. I want to make sure it's going to be much easier doing the mica powder than the paint on this, only because the cleanup, it would be so difficult getting in between all these little areas. So I think the mica powder is the best way to go on this particular piece. And then we can highlight it with some black paint afterwards. Now look at one of my little balls fell off. So now we're going to have to make sure to glue that back on, because obviously I didn't push that on properly. So let me get my adhesive. Put a little dot where I want it to go. This is so simple. Like, they're really easy fixes, to be quite honest, if something like this happens. And then just take your tool and just press it into place. Hopefully you can press it into place if it stops fighting with me. There we go. All right. So that glue, or that adhesive, will keep that little piece on there. I just want to make sure it's right in the proper position that I want it. There we go. I absolutely love this silver mica powder. So beautiful. It really looks like real silver. That's what I love about it so much. Make sure to get all those little crevices in your rope as well, because they could be easily missed. All right, now I'm going to lift it up Make sure I didn't miss anything. Get in there real good. Make sure you get all those little areas. If you're working with a piece of jewelry like this, make sure you're getting all those little crevices. Look how beautiful. Gorgeous. Okay. So my piece is not thick. It looks thick because of the stone and everything, but it is not thick. So I will place this in my oven. This is all Primo clay. That's usually what I only work with. So I know my scraps are Primo. It's Primo clay, 275 for a half hour. And then when everything cools off, we'll come back. We'll highlight our pieces and finish this piece off. All right, my piece is out of the oven and look how beautiful that is, guys. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. I am super happy with this. So this time, when I do my shadowing, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Normally I take black, but this time I'm going to go with a silver that's a little darker. And I'm going to just do like a dry brush. So this is gunmetal silver. And then I have my stiffer brush here, and I'm going to take it and I'm just going to get most of that paint off. I just want to do a shadowing, so I just want to kind of take most of that off. And let me get my dry baby wipe here. So now most of that's off. And then I'm just going to hit certain areas. Because I want it to stay really pretty silver, but I want some shadowing as well to give it that little antique look. And you do not need a lot of paint, very little. So this is my dry brush, or my dry brushing. And then I'll just do a little bit on the back as well, just to give it that little antique-y look. And because you're dry brushing, it's basically going to dry almost right away. It's not going to take long at all. But I absolutely love this piece. I think adding that little charm there and making it part of the pendant really just help bring this piece together. Absolutely gorgeous. I love that. All right. So that was very simple, as you saw. And you can see that it just kind of gave it just a little bit of shadowing. So not overly too much, but it gives it a little bit of a darker look on certain areas to give it that antique look. I got my gloss glaze. And this is from Sculpey. Let's see if we could get, that's pretty well done. So I'll get my other one. And then I'm just going to glaze it. And that'll help protect all my mica powders. And I'm not going to put it on overly thick. I'm just going to do a nice little coat. That way it'll dry real fast. A nice thing is the glazes, you don't need them on thick. They do a wonderful job with them being thin as well. I am going to avoid getting it on my metal. If you do get on your stone, that's okay, because we can rub it off afterwards. It will not stick to there, like it won't become a permanent fixture like it would on your clay. And once you know that your piece is completely coated, you can let it sit down, dry completely. And I know I got some on my stone, so I will have to clean that up. All right, so for the most part, my piece is dry. I'm going to get a wet wipe here And this is just a baby wipe. And I'm going to clean up my stone. Get any glaze off that I might have got on there. This is so beautiful. I am very pleased with this. This is going to look so great with my dress. All right, so now I'm going to put my jump ring on. Close it completely. And then let's put our chain on. I really would like a small, okay, let me get a smaller one. I really want this like where the jump ring is not going to show. That's really what I want. So I'm going to go with a smaller one because I want it to be hidden behind. Let me get my small one here. Open that up all the way. And I'm going to put my chain there right away because it's so small, this jump ring, that it's going to be hard to get those bigger pieces in that jump ring. So I'm just going to add my chain right to it. Come on, get off. And then carefully close it. Make sure it's closed all the way, which it is. It is, right? There we go. And now we have this gorgeous necklace. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at that. I really hope that you guys enjoyed creating this piece along with me. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you all next time. Bye.